Google I/O is here, and that means we finally know what's happening with Android P. Companies focusing on three things: a simpler interface, an intelligent interface, and this thing they're calling digital well-being. What's that all about? So the new Android P beta should be available pretty much right away on a whole bunch of devices, like 7 or 9 devices. It's on the Google Pixel 2 XL, which I have here. You can also get it on a OnePlus 6, Nokia phones, etc., etc. Anyway, I want to show you the most obvious thing you're going to see on this beta of Android P because, oh my God, they took the home button away. So what you do is you give it a little swipe up, and that takes you to the overview screen. All of your apps are listed horizontally here, and they're even live, so you can like long press on something and have it do a search for that thing or copy the text or whatever, which is kind of cool. If you give it a longer swipe up or a second swipe up, it takes you to all of your apps, and it lists your most used apps, or I'm sorry, the like AI detected apps, so what they think you're going to want to use right there at the top. And that's also in this half swipe up down here at the bottom, which is pretty neat. There's a little tab also for your work apps, and if you really want to, you can just turn those damn things off, because who wants work apps? One last little clever thing with that button, if you just slide it over to the right, you can get to that list of your most recent apps to jump into them. So it's a really quick way to switch between apps. And then of course, when you're in an app, the home button is there to go home. You can just tap it to go home, and the good old back button is there too if you want the back button. Notifications, things are basically the same, but there are some really nice updates. So if you start dismissing stuff a bunch, eventually it'll ask you if you just want to stop seeing those notifications. You can long press on a notification instead of remembering that weird little swipe over to get the settings. And then there's just a plain old manage notifications button at the bottom. When you tap on that, it takes you to a list of your most recent notifications, and then you can just turn those things off because they've been annoying you lately. So it's a much faster way to handle notifications. Now, this is just some of the stuff in Android P. There's a lot more. There's all the stuff about digital well-being. There's a bunch of AI stuff. And so I want to talk about that stuff now. Now, because this is Google, and because Google can't string more than 5 words together without saying the words AI, we're talking about AI again. AI is built into Android in a few different ways. There's a new machine learning kit so that you can make your own intelligent apps, and that works on both Android and iOS actually. But in Android itself, AI is going to watch what apps you use and then shut them down intelligently to save battery life. It's also going to adjust your brightness automatically for you. I don't know, saying that that's AI feels a little bit buzzwordy and a little bit overkill, but it should hopefully give you better battery life in the end. What are some of the things that are more intelligent than that's happening on the phone now?
Right, and so I mean, the whole premise of this is, you know, we call them smartphones, but you know what, they could be a lot smarter, and it could be a lot more intelligent. And you know, what does that mean? Well, in our case, it's really, we think the phone should adapt to you. One area that we've worked on, which I like a lot, is what we call adaptive battery. It's a project we did with DeepMind. It uses on-device machine learning to figure out which apps you're going to launch next, and which ones you're not going to launch for a couple of hours, and which you may not do till evening, if at all. That's one example. Another is auto brightness. Now, you know, pretty much every modern smartphone today will look at it has a light sensor, and it will adjust the brightness depending on the light, but it doesn't take into account your preferences, right, or your environment. And so what we've done, it'll actually learn how you move the brightness given different lighting conditions, and then it will do it for you.
So one of the things that Google's doing in Android P is they're introducing these new terms. There's a slice and there's an action. And they're basically deep links, which means that an app has got something you want to do deep down inside the app, but you want to do it somewhere else in the operating system. So if you do a search for Lyft, it just surfaces a link to just go home, and it jumps right into the app to do that. Or if you are opening up your app drawer, there's a couple little things inside the app drawer at the top that lets you jump right into some action you do all the time, like, you know, call your significant other or open up Seamless when you get home, because let's be honest, you're going to open up Seamless when you get home. You're lazy as hell. Those are all the whiz-bang features that are going to make you more productive with your phone and use your phone more, and they're all great. But Google's doing this whole other thing that's designed to get you to use your phone less.
Digital well-being for us as a theme is a set of capabilities we're putting into Android to help people become more aware of how they're using their device,
right, and
then be in control, have a set of controls where they can decide how they want to change that behavior.
So one of the ways you're doing that is you have this thing, what do you call it, the dashboard?
Yeah, there's a dashboard.
Is it just a lot more checkboxes for people to have to look at? Like, are you finding that people are actually finding value in this thing?
The first step is awareness, and that dashboard is pretty straightforward. It shows you how much time you spent on your phone each day, what apps you spent that time in, how many times you unlocked your phone, how many notifications you've received, and then it lets you drill down on those things. And then the next piece of it is, okay, so how can the software help me if I want to change my behavior? And so that's where we're putting a bunch of capabilities we're calling user controls. So you can set a time limit on the amount of time you want to spend in an app. So I could say, for example, I only want to spend 30 minutes a day in YouTube or in Instagram or my favorite game, maybe Subway Surfer, right? And another situation that we find people really talk to us a lot about was trying to be fully present for something, and the phone perhaps not helping with that. So Do Not Disturb is being improved where I can, when I turn on Do Not Disturb, now all the visual interruptions go away.
So it doesn't show notifications on the lock screen. Not only does it not vibrate, it doesn't show
no vibrations, basically no interruptions.
So after that really brief look at Android P, what do I think? Well, I'm kind of hopeful. I really love the idea of exploding apps out into the rest of the phone so that you can just do a search and jump right to the thing you want to do. And I'm really intrigued by the idea of using apps less because, I don't know, I use Twitter way too much. If you take those two ideas together, what's really interesting is Google's trying to set up a system where you think about your phone less, both because it does stuff for you automatically through AI and because you just use your phone less, and maybe we could all stand to do that. But even though I'm hopeful, that doesn't mean I'm naive. Android has a huge update problem, it always has, and the theory is that this new treble system they've developed is going to get it on more phones sooner. We're making a good step here. It's going to show up on like 7 manufacturers in beta right away, and we should have it on a bunch of phones, not just Pixel phones, by the end of the year. But Google has to execute because every year we see a great new version of Android and then we'd have to wait to get it on the phones that everybody buys, Samsung phones. I would really like to see them fix that this year with Android P. Thank you so much for watching. If you like this video, there's another video over at Verge Science you should definitely watch. It's about eye charts and are they actually useful for helping you see if your vision's any good and why they're always all the same. You should go check it out.